So this is an impromptu session that I requested Marie to do with me today. The second one today. This one is different. This one is one that I have talked about many times. Marie and I have talked about this many times, right? We create our reality.
Yep.
We sometimes this is really difficult for some people to hear, right? Because it's these are people that the ones that have difficulty with it are people that have had a really difficult life, trauma, abuse. So it's really, really hard for them to understand that concept, right? But what this brings in is the concept of multiple realities, time and timelines and versions of everything. And I thought this is so important for people to realize that I wanted to do a reminder kind of video about this. Okay, so I want to share my screen. And guys, Marie is completely blind here. She doesn't know what we're talking about. So I am going to show you now. So I'll show you now. Okay, so Multiple Realities, Timelines, and Versions of Everything by Daniel Scranton, by the Ninth Dimensional Arcturian Council. We are not just your allies and your helpers in this journey that we are all on of ascension, but we're also your co-creators. Everything is happening by co-creation, even your ability to hear from us at all. That is a co-creation in that you have asked, we have answered, and you have aligned. When you align with something that you have asked for, then it is yours. But there is still an agreement between us and you that allows for the answering to occur. We know that many of you are aware of the idea of multiple realities and multiple timelines, but what you must realize is that the same version of us doesn't exist in every reality.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. That's really interesting.
There's a reality where we take such a hands-off approach with you that we wouldn't even agree to be channeled, because that version of us would feel that it would be interfering with your natural development. But you're not in that reality. You're in this one with this version of us. And so when you think about the changes you would like to see in humanity, don't think that every single person on earth in this reality with you now has to change. Only you have to change to go to a reality that is a reflection of what you have changed into. You see, you can only change yourself. That's why when you ask others to change for you with your words, it rarely works. Sometimes it will work because the whole point of the situation you were in was to get you to vocalize something that you needed to say, that you needed to get off your chest. And in that moment, you were changing yourself from being someone who never spoke up for themselves to being someone who does speak up for themselves. But if you're always asking others around you to change, then you are not aware of the truth that no one outside of you has to change in order for you to have a new experience of them. When you change you change your vibration. And when you change your vibration, you change your location. You move to another reality that has a different version of the person, the people, the entirety of humanity that you would like to see change. How is this possible, you might wonder? Well, again, it's an agreement. There's an agreement between you and the version of the person that you're going to experience to come together in that reality, to animate that reality with your soul's consciousness. Your soul can project the consciousness that it has into many, many realities at once, giving your soul the maximum amount of experiences it can possibly have. And that's what your soul wants. That's why multiple realities exist. They give you the opportunity to experience many different ways of knowing yourself and many different ways of knowing your fellow humans, the galaxy, and the universe. This is the reason why we will always lead you back to yourself, to your inner journey, rather than telling you about the one real reality that you're all truly experiencing together and how to change that. It serves you so much more to see yourself as the creator of all of it. And that gives you not only responsibility, but also power. You do have the power to change you all the time. And when you do so, when you change the way you look at something, the way you think about something, the way you respond to something, you are changing everything because you are shifting to a different reality. Keep shifting and you'll find yourself living in a fifth dimensional world. And that is how it all works.
Elisa, we've been talking about this for months and months and months. Spot on.
Spot on, right?
Honestly, and it just comes up so often for people, doesn't it? You know, if there's this victim and bully mentality, there's all sorts of different mentalities.
Yes, and this only validates the confirmation that I had talked about when I had the mushroom experience, right? Where I saw it, I saw that this was all the reality created for me. And what this does is it confirms and validates what I saw in that space. And so, you know, and I wanted you here because I want you to either confirm that, yes, you believe this way or not. When I say that, I've always explained it that these realities are like channels. Okay. And you can be in this channel, right? If you choose to constantly be watching videos about the Caesarian mafia or the whatever, you know, the Illuminati or the whatever, right? So there are these different realities that we choose to be on. And I've noticed that the less I watch that stuff, and the more I spend time on like, oh, what new trip am I going to go on? You know, what new country am I going to visit? You know, how am I going to manifest the reality that I want?
Yeah.
I see myself like moving into that, right? If you're in the high vibration, then you're going to manifest those things in the high vibration. And so tell me, what do you want to say about this?
Yeah, look, I think, well, I know it's spot on because that's the only way I've changed my world is to change myself, to change my perspective. And that's not often easy because, you know, we've got, we've been indoctrinated. We've got some schisms and trauma that we have to work through for our lineage or for ourselves, and owning it all and taking responsibility for it all, but also being kind. I just realized I had to be kind to myself because we are going through this processing of releasing and changing. And, you know, that's part of being human, is that experience exactly of that. It's interesting, though, because my friend Barry, I was on today with him for his group that he runs. We do this thing where we check with muscle testing where the percentage of people, what percentage of being in the vortex are people. So for a group, we'll do it before we start. And then once we've run all the energy, we'll do it at the end. And we check to see what percentage of the time they're staying in that space, like you were talking about creating and manifesting and being in joy or being even balanced. And so if we have a bad week or something, we often find that it will drop. The percentage of the time we're in that vortex will drop. So that's something that I found really useful to check for myself. And I'd go, oh, man, I've just been off in my head this week. And I'd check it. And sure enough, I'd been out of that vortex, that sweet spot from where we manifest and stay balanced and heart connected. So I agree with you because I could see what was then being created in my world when I actually wasn't consciously being in that place.
Yes.
So I agree with you. Yeah.
I tell people all the time, whenever I have a client that comes to see me, I always explain, you don't like what's happening to you, change you, how you see it. What is happening in your reality is literally a feedback loop. And that feedback loop tells you exactly what you need to change within you. So it's about understanding, like, okay, my mom, it bugs me every time I talk to my mom. That's why I don't call her. Okay. Then change the way you expect to see your mom. So whenever you're going to see your mom, don't expect already something negative, because that negative energy will display. It will display. It's your reality. You're creating that reality. Therefore, that negativity is going to come back at you. So
Yep.
it's about looking at what's in front of you and what's happening, and really just understanding, okay, that person was an asshole. Why? What belief do I have? Do I have low self-worth? Am I pissed off right now? What is it that I did that created that person, that I created in my reality? Because I created them in my reality to act that way. What did I do? What did I do to what belief do I have, or what energy vibration am I sending out? Then now it's coming back at me.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And Elisa, it was really interesting because a friend of mine sends her kids to Steiner School, and she said something to me. It just absolutely clicked for me. She went, one of her sons was being bullied. So instead of going to the bully and saying, you stop that, they actually said to her son, we need to help you become more empowered. So they actually, I'm getting goosebumps, they actually gave him all these beautiful strategies of with painting and with to express himself and to actually start coming into his own power. And as soon as that happened, the bullying stopped. So the bully was exactly like you said, showing, hey, this child needs help with his self-empowerment, because he's attracting to him what it is that he needs help with.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think that's perfectly said what you were saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And S.M. Biker was saying it was created for a lesson. And I would say, wouldn't you say, Marie, that yes, that's in the end. I wouldn't say necessarily. I used to say it was for lessons, and now I'm believing more that it's for experience.
That's the magical word. And if we can see it as an experience rather than a lesson, then what we do is we take out I wasn't any good, so therefore I had to learn something. Instead, it's like, I am this most amazing divine soul that is here in this human form, and I'm remembering things and I'm experiencing things in a new way because I have a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, to me, what it is. It's truly experiencing.
Yeah.
So I agree. And this is why it's really great for people to learn strategies that can help get them back into balance, to know what works for them, rather than just repeating. So
yeah, absolutely. And some people, when they come to me, they notice that they're like, I have a repeating theme here. And I'm like, yeah, because that's, probably a lesson that needed to be learned, or the experience that you wanted to experience has not happened. Possibly because you needed to forgive and you haven't forgiven. Sometimes that's an experience that people want to come and have, and then they don't forgive people. And it's like, well, it's going to keep happening until you forgive.
Yeah. And often too, it's about just forgiving ourselves and then letting it go. Because the more we try and forgive ourselves, often we'll go deeper and deeper into that spiral. So it's saying, you know what, I might have made a mistake there. I'm going to take responsibility for that and absolutely love and forgive myself, because what it's doing is helping me to expand my experience. It's just an experience.
Exactly.
So that's where I've found, that people actually get the most out of what they do go through.
Yes.
So,
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's interesting because the Ho'oponopono, have you heard of that? I find that sometimes if I drop into that, if I'm not balanced and centered and I want something very quickly to help me, I'll drop into that and I'll just be doing that for myself, that beautiful mantra and prayer, and just things lift and shift. So it's just having little strategies on hand that work for yourself, like, that you can drop into when things are getting a bit crazy or a little bit chaotic, or you're getting impacted.
Yeah.
So no, I agree with you. Wow. And also too, with the different timelines and the different realms. And I mean, I've said for a long time now, for me, other lifetimes, I say other lifetimes, not so much past lives or future lives. To me, they're other lifetimes because everything's running literally parallel. And once we have that knowledge, like even last week, I had a couple of days where I knew there was some big, deep shifting going on. And a friend reminded me, she said, Marie, there's something going on in another lifetime. Why don't you just send light and love? So I did, sat down, did some beautiful energy work, sent light and love. And the next morning I woke up and it was like I woke up into a new world. And so it's really acknowledging that, these crazy theories and things, they actually could be real. Well, that's how I'm seeing it as real. So that's my experience. And it seems to work.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. And something that I wanted to ask you about, when when we are seeing videos of people, like for example, there's people that could be, do people, okay,
mhm.
who watches this video, for example? Only people that are in our reality, in not in our reality, in our vibration? Is that how it works?
What's your thoughts? I'll ask you first, and then I'll talk. What's your gut feeling with that? What's your experience with that?
Well, what I have experienced is that something won't show up in your reality until you either ask for it
Hmm.
or you're ready for it, one or the other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I feel like for myself, sometimes if I've asked a question to the universe, I go, what does this mean? Like, how can I understand this more? Or how can I have more wisdom around this? And something will pop up and I'll go, oh, that's perfect for me to actually read or look into or watch or be a part of. And so, definitely for me, I feel it's a vibrational thing. And it's where someone is in their consciousness. It's, what questions are they asking? For me, my greatest experiences happened when I asked lots of questions about life, and I didn't just accept. So since I was a child, I've been asking questions because I wanted to know stuff, and I feel that's how people get drawn into these sort of interactions with the beautiful, family, the people, the soul group we've got on these channels, is definitely that vibration and their want to know and their soul resonance. I really feel that sometimes we've all been in lifetimes together. We may not have connected in those lifetimes, but we've always been on a plane of a lifetime with others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That we will connect with in another lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So again, I have to tell you, and there's so much important stuff in here, right? Like
yeah,
how when you change your vibration, when you change you change your vibration, and when you change your vibration, you change your location,
yes, yeah,
right?
absolutely, yep.
Let's see how we can. I can't. Here we go. Oh, I stopped sharing. That's why. Okay, hold on. So when you change your you change your vibration, you change your location. You move to another reality that has a different version of the person, the people, the entirety of humanity that you would like to see change. So what is that telling you? I mean, that is telling you right there. If you don't like what you're seeing out there, you have to change you. It's
Absolutely,
not the people
yeah,
out there. It's not the people that don't believe that that Trump is going to be the king or whatever. Like it's inside. You're the projector. You're the projector of the movie.
absolutely. I've got a very good friend, and she's just gone through a huge year. And she's the best she's ever been in her life because she did so much changing of her perspective from within herself. Her whole world's changed. She said, I've never, ever felt better. I've never felt so amazing. And she definitely owns everything that she's done, takes full responsibility. And she said, I said, what was your pivotal moment? And she said, there was not one pivotal moment. She said, it was everything I'd experienced helped me to come into this perspective.
Yeah. Everything. And so that right there is giving you the answer to what you and I have been saying all along, right?
Yeah.
When you change you change your vibration. And when you change your vibration, you change your location. You move to another reality that has a different version of the person, the people, the entirety of humanity that you would like to see change. So guess what? If you have a mother-in-law that you hate, if you, whatever, like apply it to everything in your life here, right?
Totally. Yeah.
You are the one who has to change. You're the one who has to either see it in a different manner. This is a great question, Andromedan. I would love to see what Marie would say about this. What about the higher self? So Marie, what would you say about that?
So the higher self, there's lots of different names for this aspect. Everyone has a different wording. So it could be our divine essence. It could be our soul. Some people relate the higher self to that. To me, it's my divine essence. That is my pure who I am. And this extra part, this physicality and my mental plane and emotional plane is here to have an experience. The highest self, which I'll call my divine essence, is the connection for me to remember who I truly am. So the higher self is almost, to me, feels objective. So it's actually doesn't get connected into emotions or anything like that. It's purely objective, purely in the knowing, purely knows it's completely connected to everything and is the master of this whole being. And it's for us, it's like any video game. It's for us to catch up with that. And to actually start to really recognize how powerful we are, how divine we are. And
so, and the video game analogy is so perfect because who's driving in the video game? Who's driving, right? So here's the guy with the controller, and he plays. Sometimes he plays the guy with the big muscles. Sometimes he plays the guy that's really agile and dressed up in a different garb. So he's playing all these different characters, but guess what? The higher self is the guy with the controller, right? Is the guy that's controlling the different aspects that you decide to play in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll pull some cards on that because I think that's a really nice way you've explained that. So number 7 of swords has come up. So this is strategy. So we might decide, we want to experience this and this and this now. And it's our emotion, I feel, that always leads me. So if I'm really joyful about something, I'm just so drawn to do that, then that's definitely you're going in the right direction. So it's easier to be almost connected in with that divine presence so that you get led, so that there's synchronicities. Okay. And that's what the Temperance card to me is telling me. There's a change in perspective. There's a change in where we're going to, but it's quite easy. It's when we actually get, we're going against that intuition. We're going against that emotional feeling that's right. Then the Moon card comes up. And that's often when we get really, we have to get hurt a little bit, or we fall over a bit more, in our journey than maybe what we wanted to. And it's because we're maybe off track a little bit as to what it is where we're meant to be heading. So that's maybe one way to explain it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The other way I used to explain it was, to me, like the higher self is that tiny little spark that was part of source and said, oh, I want to be my own consciousness. I want to have individual consciousness. So then it breaks out from the higher, from source as that little spark. And then that little spark is in the middle of a circle. And then it wants to be a dog, and it wants to be a rock, and it wants to be the wind, and it wants to be an ET, and it wants to be a galaxy, and it wants to be the creator of galaxies, and it wants to be. So that's the way I used to explain it, because being in the middle, it's connected to all that it is or has been or will be.
Absolutely, and we could have all been trees together. And we could have, and this is it. There's no limitation as to what God, what your divine presence actually chooses to experience.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So what about the manifesting of the collective? Was there a general agreement that what a timeline will be about? And this is what he says on here. So you move to another reality that has a different version of the person, the people, the entirety of humanity that you would like to see change. How is this possible, you might wonder? Well, again, it's an agreement. There is an agreement between you and the version of the person that you're going to experience to come together in that reality, to animate that reality with your soul's consciousness. Your soul can project the consciousness that it has into many, many realities all at once, giving your soul the maximum amount of experiences it can possibly have. And that's what your soul wants. So I think this is it. That's why multiple realities exist. They give you the opportunity to experience many different ways of knowing yourself. Wait, where is when he talks about... Okay. Is it this one? Oh, I thought that he talked about this already, about the collective and having a general agreement on the timeline.
So, yeah, and it's interesting because, like, I see my oversoul as probably being about a foot above our crown chakra. And I've actually seen it, like I think I've said before, like a railway terminal station. So it's like there's so much going on another level that, yeah, our collective consciousness is responding to so many things. So, you know how they say you only need, was it 1% of the population to go into a beautiful heart, joy, filled space, and that will actually shift and tip over others. It's like the 99 monkey syndrome, isn't it? That 100th monkey. So to me, that's what collective consciousness is as well. So the more we put through our light, our love, and just stay focusing on what we want to create, then that helps that creation to come into place for us personally. And then it doesn't matter, but we will be affecting others as well with that.
So to me, the way that I'm getting is that the whichever timeline you are on, those people agreed to be in that timeline with you at that time to create that for you.
And as you were saying that, I pulled a card and it was temperance. And I really feel that the agreement comes from a vibrational level. So as our frequency and vibration is at a certain expansion or whatever, then that is going to be the agreement, because that's universal law.
Right, exactly. And I think, so maybe it's the one at the bottom. Yeah. So where he says, you do have the power to change you all the time. And when you do so, when you change the way you look at something, the way you think about something, the way you respond to something, you're changing everything because you're shifting to a different reality. Keep shifting and you'll find yourself living in a fifth dimensional world. So then there you go, right? The collective in that fifth dimensional world is that collective of the fifth dimensional world. So right now, because you're in this reality here, right? You're not in the fifth dimensional reality. You're here, then these people agreed collectively to be in this reality. And then these people here agreed to be in this collective reality.
Yeah. And also, Lisa, too, I feel that we can swing in and out, like we can oscillate in between realities depending on where we're at. And
absolutely,
again, what our vibration is. So we can even go to 7th, 8th, 9th dimensional, especially, I know I do, especially with some of the beautiful gritting work we do and the, that real connection. It's quite powerful. But then sometimes too, you can have a really bad day. You might slip right back down into, oops.
Yeah. And, Marina Jacobi had a video where she explained how that works, but she basically said that that you want to keep yourself, in order to stay at, let's say, for example, fifth dimensional world, let's say that's where you want to be, then you really, really have to be there most of the time in order to stay there, right? So you don't have these up and downs.
Yeah. So they can be small oscillations. And this is what I was saying before, when we measured the being in the vortex and what percentage of the time, and the higher you could keep yourself in that space, exactly what you're saying, then the more you actually had that really beautiful experience with life. Your perspective could even cope with chaos or whatever was going on. And, you know, when I say I have a bad day, it might be a really good day for someone else. But because we get used to being in that sort of that, you know, more relaxed, higher frequency, when we're out of balance, I really notice it. So, it's just more incentive to, okay, how do I get myself back into balance, connected? Yeah,
absolutely.
True.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was a
Okay,
great
let's
question.
see. So let's see. So is multiple timelines the same as soul fracturing? I don't
What do
think so,
you
but
think?
you can ask the
No.
cards.
Yeah, no, it's all right. You say what you think first, because that's a really good question. So
yeah, no, I don't. Multiple timelines means that, you, like you said, you are doing this, not fracturing your soul. You're just moving in different energy levels.
yeah.
So to me, that's not fracturing the soul.
No,
But,
it's I feel, because I've actually when I first started to understand this timeline, it was years and years ago, and I was on the phone to someone just looking out, gazing at my beautiful tree that was outside my window, and all of a sudden I felt this shift, and I said to my friend, I've just jumped timelines. I just knew it. It was just this feeling I had and this knowing, and and I didn't feel like I'd lost any of my soul or whatever. However, I know that there can be a thing as what I understand as soul fracturing. And you can do retrieval work. I've done a lot of retrieval work from people that you've had really intense relationships with, where there's been karma or there's been a situation that we need to sort out. And you can actually bring and ask for that soul to be to come back into completeness from that person. We can give away our power, which is sometimes a part of giving away our soul and fracturing it. So I don't know if that's what your understanding is, Elisa, of soul fracturing. Is that something you'd thought about?
to me, soul fracturing can happen within the same reality, right? So you can fracture your soul in the same reality or separate realities, but it doesn't have to do with timelines, if that makes sense.
No, I feel it's a separate
To me, it has to do with realities, not timelines. So you
Yeah.
have timelines in one reality, you have many timelines, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But so the soul fracturing happens within the different realities, not the timelines.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And we might have had some soul fracture in a different reality from another lifetime that's going on. And then this lifetime, I know this lifetime is extremely powerful for us to be able to do a lot of that resuturing or reclaiming our soul and our empowerment on this plane of existence. And that's why I think the Seven of Pentacles has come up, is because we've planted, these things have happened in many different realities and lifetimes, and we can now bring them back through to us to sort of bring about a wholeness. So, yeah.
Is soul split same as soul fracturing? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know, or soul split, soul fracturing. It to me, it feels it's a similar thing. It's just when we've somehow had an experience with another being, and we've left some of our soul or exchanged aspects of our souls, whether it's to have more experiences doing that, and then we get to a point, we bring it back.
Yeah. So we could ask about this, because to me, a soul split is more a twin flame. What we know is a twin flame that people use the wrong way because they think it's a lover or whatever. It has nothing to do with being lovers. Twin flame is the soul, your soul split into different people, like into different beings. And to me, that's soul splitting. But soul fracturing to me is a life, where you've had so much trauma that your soul fractures. So to me, they're two different things.
Yeah, I guess when you look at it like that, a soul split that's come through from source, when we're sort of, close to that beautiful source energy, and we're those spirals of light, and we start to split, because God's continuously co-creating and expanding.
Mhm.
That is one way, I guess, to explain a soul split.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's definitely just our words and thoughts. So it's good for me when that king comes up, it's mastering what the definition is. Yeah, for sure. So and then we've got the Two of Wands. So it's a very balanced, looking at the world in a very balanced way. So the soul split for me happens through source and through that divine intervention, perfection. I think soul fracturing, I don't know if everyone agrees with this or not, but for me, the soul fracturing can happen because of a trauma. And we're choosing to experience it at some level, but it might take us a little while to have that re-empowerment happen and to get that soul fracture back.
Yeah.
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 So that.
Yeah. So I think is there's a difference there.
Thanks, Andromeda.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a great question. So there's a question here. It doesn't have to do with what we're talking about, but I don't perspective with the elongated skull beings. They're just ETs that lived here, right?
Yeah.
Different type of beings.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can be considered human, but
to me, the elongated skull, they had more ability to stay connected in and had the gifts, like, our when you have, I guess, clairvoyance and the ability, they just had more of a connection to everything and could use that in different ways that we, haven't maybe got quite to that level yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's really all I had for today. I just knew that it was a really good discussion as far as again, sending that reminder out to people. Again, I will tell you, you create your reality. You are the projector of the reality. Therefore, you can control what happens in it. And by changing you, as he says, then you're changing yourself. So your reality will change. If you want your reality to change, you have to change you, because you are the projector of that reality. So I put the channeling in the description box in the video. So if you guys want to read it again, you can read it and keep reminding yourselves that this is what needs to happen. It's very important.
Exactly.
So.
I think it's perfect timing you've brought that up, Elisa, this whole thing. And another thing to remember as well, every morning, just wake up and go, okay, how can I be of service to my divine being? What is my soul wanting me to experience? Already get into that connection. Very, very first thing when you wake up, have that intention.
Oh my God, thank you for this reminder. Okay. So in the last 3 days, and I heard someone else say this, so please don't say that Elisa said this, because I wish I had thought of it, but I didn't. It wasn't me. But I can't remember who said it, so I can't give them credit for it. When you wake up in the morning now, what I do is I say, today I'm going to be in the highest vibrational timeline available to me. Oh my God, ever since I've been doing that. Hello. Yeah, I've been in the best timeline possible. So every morning, guys, when you wake up, say this out loud. Put the intention. I am going to be on the highest vibrational timeline available to me today.
Yeah.
Okay. I promise you will see huge changes in your life. Huge changes in your life. So Marie, right? I mean, I wanted to tell everybody about this and I forgot. So you prompted me to remember that. So,
but it's true, because it's true commitment to yourself, to your journey, to your experiences, and it's about loving yourself and having that self-esteem. I feel that's so important.
Yes.
That we really keep just loving ourselves. That's the crux of everything, because then you've got enough love for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And just like you're the projector, right? If you're projecting love, what comes
yeah,
back to you?
is
Love.
love.
So
Totally
if you
right.
want love, you got to project the love to yourself. So then
Yeah,
that reality comes back to you as love, because the universe is just a mirror, literally a mirror
I know.
of you and your and the things that need to happen. So anyway, I just figured we needed to talk about this, and I just loved the way that Daniel Scranton channeled this from the Arcturians. It was just so perfect that I'm like, I have to get on and talk about this. And I knew that you, Marie, you would, have wonderful feedback as well, because I know you're very connected up there in the higher dimension. So it would be good to
chat. And
yeah.
I love it. And I love it because Elisa goes, I'm not telling you anything till we get on live. And I'm going, So no, but it's always perfect. I feel the timing's always perfect for anyone that's watching now or afterwards. So yeah, and you're going to laugh, but I actually pulled a card for you again. Now, do you remember this one? Was it this morning I did this? Dragonflies come through again, same card. And again, it's about clarity. It's about new doorways. It's about letting go of illusion. So it's so perfect for what we're talking about. I can't believe it's come up again. Everything comes up at perfect timing. So there you go. That's for everybody.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Amazing.
All right, Jenny, Alicia, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. I really think that the perfect tribe has been sent to me. I'm sure there are people that I have worked with in the past, and we're just all coming together, and it's beautiful to see it happening. So it's exciting. Exciting. All right, guys, I love you so much. Marie, again, thank you for jumping in with me here last minute.
Thanks for asking me. It's fun.
Yeah, it was a fun discussion, right?
Yeah.
And I think I've been thinking that I want to have this type of discussion with you and Zoe at the same time. So kind of like a panel of like discussion around, topics like this would be cool.
Be amazing. And having different perspectives and
Yes.
from different experiences. And yet I find at the end of the day, it's all the same. But it's so lovely to see different perspectives, which is great.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. Awesome. All right, guys. Love you, Marie. I will see you guys. What do we have? Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah. See you then.
Yeah. No, actually, I have an interview with about your soul contract with Nicholas David Nan, who was in Gaia.com. That's Thursday.
Wow.
And then Friday, I have Zoe and I have you in the afternoon.
Okay.
So very exciting. Very exciting.
Big,
so
big few days for you.
I know. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Bye-bye.